Hello everybody, welcome back to my studio, Warsaw, Poland, to my humble YouTube channel. I'm Paul, and good to see you again. Guys, things are looking good this year, business-wise. That means I can do some new investment. And what's the best way to do an investment in this studio? To buy some new rack gear or a new flagship POLYSYNTH. Yeah. And that's probably what I will do this year, though I own one, Prophet Rev 2. This is my flagship POLYSYNTH right now on my right. But you know what? Having a second one doesn't feel bad at all. So I decided to dig through the market offers these days, nowadays, to choose which could be your and my new flagship POLYSYNTH in 2025. Let's go. Of course, if you think this channel makes sense, if you like my studio and my videos, as always, think about subscribing somewhere here down in the corner, getting notified, liking this vid, and commenting on it down below so that I know what would be your choice in the group I'm gonna present. Maybe you own some of these, or maybe I missed something that should be added to the list. Let's go now. I got a full list of synthesizers I'm interested in front of me. I did some research this year. I'm ready to sum this research up. And there are some also entry criteria for my new POLYSYNTH. These are gonna be very subjective, but remember, these just reflects my needs, so I feel like eligible to limit my choice any way I like. So the first criteria is it needs to be analog or hybrid synthesizer with digital oscillators but analog filters. I do believe that buying purely digital synthesizers in a hardware form this year makes little sense, at least for me. I'm fine with my VSTs and controlling them with some external, simply MIDI controllers. The second criteria is it needs to have 5 octaves of a keyboard. I'm not satisfied in anything less, and I don't consider it a flagship when it's less than 5 octaves. This is also my preference. The third thing is that I'm gonna choose only one model from each synth maker, synth brand. No two models from the same producer can be presented in this video. And that's it. And I'm gonna put them in some kind of an alphabetical order, let's say. So let's go with A and Arturia. Yes, Polybrute 12. And I'm gonna tell you, this is seriously alphabetical, but from the list I'm gonna present to you today, this is my largest desire. I'm tending to choose this one. Why? Because it's a bit different. Arturia has got something to their synthesizers that's really on their very own. And I can hear it in their Mini Freak that I love, which also got digital oscillators and analog filters. This one has got a digital effect section, but has got purely analog oscillators and filters. Also, I tweaked Mini Brute back then. I didn't decide to buy it, but I actually loved its tone. And this thing is simply a beast. It features 2 Brute oscillators that I already somehow know from Mini Brute. It has got a parallel Steiner and ladder filter with a lot of character and control. It's got a huge, massive modulation matrix at hand. Then it's got fully poly MPE. It's got ribbon controller, Morphe controller that's here. It simply looks and feels great. It offers also 12 voices of polyphony. And yes, I did listen to some demos, and they are simply mad. And no, I'm not an enemy of digital effects on an analog synthesizer. And the effect section on this one is also crazy, also extremely well-crafted presets. Don't believe me? listen to some demos on YouTube, and also it simply looks and feels great. Sound on Sound, of course, reviewed it not so long time ago, August 2024. And yes, it's a very, very favorable review. Oh, I forgot, there's an editor for it. So you can make it fully on screen of your PC. And pros, a lot of pros are there. They say that MPE is kind of arcane or complicated to operate. Several MIDI CC's implementation is somehow wrong. Pitch bend and modulation are in the wrong places. I wouldn't call these wrong. They are closer to the keyboard. That's probably your preference. And the manual needs to be more detailed. I don't care about it. I rarely read manuals. I tweak synthesizers just by my very, very own. As for the pricing, here in Poland, it's a bit more than $4,000 with great user opinions. Amazing. Monster. Top-class synthesizer, etc., etc. In USA right now, it's $4,000. And again, great reviews on this one. Only 5-star reviews. And seriously, guys, the tone of it, I already love it. And there's a large chance that's gonna be my choice. But let's go to the next one. Moog Muse, another polysynth from Moog. They haven't made one for some time, not mentioning Moog 1, which is excluded from my list as an instrument too expensive, not in my range. So I had to take a look into Moog. It's an 8-voice polysynth with double VCO, plus ring modulation, plus mod oscillator, plus noise, plus dual filter, and more. And well, it's got this very fat classic Moog sound. If you think Moog, yeah, sound-wise, yes, you can think Muse. And it really does continue the heritage, the sonic heritage of Moog company, and it's reasonably priced. As for Moog, we're gonna get to that very, very soon. Sound on Sound, of course, reviewed it. It's mono-timbral. Maybe that's something to consider. Also, as for the cons, it doesn't offer any polytouch nor MPE. It has some very limited effects capabilities by modern standards. Yes, because it's just got something called diffusion delay, which can serve you as something between delay and reverb, let's say, and that's it. But I don't care, I can do my effects outside the synthesizer as well. Some important features are still in development, and this is where we get to some real cons that make me consider it double before making any decision. This is the price point, $3,500 in the USA on Sweetwater. But when you're gonna read the reviews, some people encountered serious tuning issues, even after doing the full tuning procedure as stated in the manual. It's not in tune, it's got some firmware bugs and annoyances. Love the synth, but it was not love at first sight. When you do a lot of sounds, whether either out of tune or just sounded horribly warped or even run with some kind of effects, after working on calibrating the tuning, it continued, it persisted. I hope your unit has been on for at least half an hour to an hour, otherwise the voices will be horribly out of tune again. Well, not really cool to read that. Not ready for release. And also some other people say they encountered some firmware issues like pops, clicks, and freezing of some menus, which doesn't really sound good, so to say. Same with Thomann reviews. Some of them state that there are some issues here. So Yeah, this is Moog Muse classic fat Moog sound, but it is made in China and it does have some issues which somehow stop me a bit. Let's go to the next one. Yes, Novation Summit. It's not a new one, but it's still on the market out there. And it's one of two hybrid synthesizers out there because it does have digital oscillators, very powerful oscillators. It's bitimbral. It offers analog filters with additional analog drive. It offers wavetable, FM, and it offers tons of character and tons of great sound. I also listened to a lot of demos of it, and it really does sound great. It's mainly two Novation Peak put in just one case to double its power and also giving it a 5 octaves keyboard. And it reminds me of my Rev 2 a bit. It's bitimbral, it's 16 voices polyphony, and it feels and sounds great, though it's not a particularly new one, but I have no problem with considering it. Though, again, it's a bit too similar to my Rev 2, but it's just my preference, remember. Pros, a lot of pros. Dual filter architecture is a huge advance. Simple to navigate and program. While some people state there's a bit too much many diving in it, actually. Poly aftertouch is there. Integrated universal power supply. You can't use MIDI CCs as sources in the mod matrix. I don't know if I care too much. And also the price point, $2,300. It's not an expensive one. Come on. And it's got a lot of great reviews, actually. And people complaining about it say it's too much many diving. Keybed is horrible. Okay, somebody says that the keybed is horrible in this one. The rest of the reviews is really in favor of this synth. Same on Thomann. They really seem to like this synth. Maybe let's see all languages. And there's one giving it 3 stars. What's this? Uh-oh. After exhaustively reading through all the reviews, seemed like a dream synth, but still the waveforms sound a bit dull and have an icy edge. Yes, some people also say, though it's digital, it sounds quite actually dark. A bit thin compared to the log, mini log. With the FM function, I did get some cool sounds. I'm sending it back. Sorry, Thomann, but it's just one opinion. Anyway, sounds dark, keyboard is so-so, digital oscillators, a bit of mini diving. I don't care. I'm still into it somehow, but I know my Rev 2 does the job. Let's go to the next one. The mighty Oberheim OB-X8. Yes, it can easily be called a flagship analog synthesizer. You know OB-X, this timeless classic by Oberheim. This is a similar, let's say, inspired or even based construction with more on board. Classic OB sound required more than just replicating vintage oscillator filters and envelopes. But with page 2, so-called page 2 of additional parameters, there are 40 plus more controls for this synthesizer. Great expressiveness, premium Ferrer keyboard with velocity and aftertouch sensitivity. Dig in with both hands for sizzling filter sweeps, intense vibrato, and more. Plus a sound editor from Sound Tower you're gonna have for this one. Why am I not really considering this my first choice? Because Oberheim synth, though it's really great, it's very specific for me. It's got tons of very specific character, and I do not consider this thing too much versatile. It's great for brass-like and, let's say, sawtooth-based sounds, very fat, very rich sounding ones. really seriously top lead, some bass and brass sounds, but that's, for me, that's mainly somehow it with Oberheim. I don't consider this too versatile, so that's not probably gonna be my go-to, my new flagship, but maybe for some of you it's gonna work. Professional quality analog polysynth, as Sound on Sound wrote, less prone to self-immolation than the vintage equivalent, that's for sure, more stable. It's not cheap, but it's hugely cheaper than a collection of vintage Oberheims. And as for the reviews, they are absolutely 100%, let's say. There are a lot of Oberheim lovers out there, and they have been satisfied with this recreation and, let's say, expansion of the original OB-X design. I'm gonna focus on some less favorable reviews. If you're not into generic brass sounds, you might get as well keep walking. Yeah, that's my point of view. Let's leave it here maybe, let's not dig into this. And as for Thomann reviews, well, all of the people here seem to, yes, exactly, only 5-star reviews and 1 4-star review. So yeah, if brass sound, fat leads and basses are your thing, this Oberheim is probably also your thing. Let's go to the next one. Sequential and Rev 2. Well, I know, I own this synth, I told you already, but I decided to choose specifically this one in our collection because I'm not gonna buy another sequential instrument. I own one, so that's enough. And for you, a cool info here is that I know this instrument very, very well, and I can easily recommend it to you. I've got a 16 voices version. It's bitimbral, it offers analog oscillators, an analog Curtis, single analog Curtis filter, a lot of possibilities in the modulation matrix, and a simple but a very good sounding digital effects section. Is it a real flagship for me? Yes, it is a real flagship. I use it a lot in what I do, and it's got no weak sides. It doesn't feel too sturdy, if you ask me, but it never broke, actually. It's been there in the studio. Some pots are very prone to very small tweaks. It's easily, for example, to go out of tune with a single touch of a tuning knob on the oscillators. That's probably the only thing I would complain about. The rest on this synth is absolutely flawless, and I absolutely adore and admire it. It sounds very kind of soft, very sparkling. It's got something very nice and pleasant in the top end of this Curtis filter, I think. I would go for something more raw, a bit darker maybe, as my second flagship. Can you own 2 flagships? Yes, you can, why not? And that's it. They wrote about it that it retains the character of Prophet 08, but with much greater power and flexibility. And yes, I know it also because I've heard it from a friend of mine who also owns Prophet 08. It's small, light and convenient, but feels solid and robust. I would discuss with it a bit. The keyboard feels good, offers both velocity and aftertouch. That's true, cheaper than its siblings. It can sound superb, yes. There's no polyphonic unison mode. That's true, unison, only mono, sorry. You need 2 hands to transpose the sequencer. Okay, I don't care. And there are no program selection shortcuts. I also don't care, to be frank. The price point for this is $3,000, which is really kind of cheap for this monster. And the reviews, yes, they speak for themselves. There's one guy who gave it 1 star on Sweetwater. Not bad, but noise floor higher than any of my synths. I haven't noticed that. Could be great. Rev 2 gives you 16 voices of polyphony unheard back of blah blah, blah, blah. Some complain about Curtis. Quality control, the unit was kind of broken. Voice board problem, yeah. Disappointment. You can't load the program of your choice into a layer location. Whatever the B layer is, you cannot change the program as you could do on Pro 2. Well, programs are both layers, my friend. I don't really think you got it. Some layers are, some programs are one layer, some programs are two layers. That's it, my friend. Tolman has got 62 reviews and only 4 of them are 4 stars. The rest is 5 stars, which tells a lot about the synth. I, after having it for more than 4 years right now, I would definitely give it 5 stars. Let's go to the next one. Udo Super Gemini. It's a relatively new British company known for their Super 6 synthesizer, which I'm not going to take into account as it's a 4 octaves design, but they have Super 8 and Gemini synthesizers, which are a bit like Summit. Because they have digital oscillators and analog filters. They feel a bit like Jupiter and Juno by Roland in terms of the way of interacting with them. They also don't have any display. Everything is by hand and by buttons and written on the panels, which might feel kind of weird for some people or inconvenient. But it sounds just crazy good. I also listened to many demos, and I'm astonished actually with this synth, what it's capable of, as with any other Udo or Udo synthesizer before Super Gemini. It's 20 voices polyphony, bitimbral, digital oscillators, dual analog filters, and more. And also, probably not my pick, because it might cover very same territory as my Rev 2 covers and Summit can cover, but still I have to appreciate this, and I'm deeply impressed with that. It's somehow derived from Super 6 and taken step higher simply. What it's also called, it's binaural. It's not binaural in terms of HRTF and this recreating the head and the ear shape to hear the sound. Like, you know what's binaural, like binaural is? They called a fully stereo signal path of some kind binaural, meaning that you can pass the oscillator and the voice strictly to left or right channel, which creates true and very interesting sounding stereo, which is really a feature for this synthesizer, and it's really something great as well. And of course, Sound on Sound wrote about it. Beautiful Flagship, 2 independent layers of Super 6 synthesis. Lots of thoughtful additions for sound designers and performers. In binaural dual mode, you can get only 5 voices, not 6 like in Super 6. I'm not sure if I care. As for the price point of this machine, let's switch to dollars. Not the cheapest option out there. It's gonna be almost $5,000, which makes it the most expensive from this group so far. And not too many reviews. And also there is one 3-star review, and I'd like to know it. Be warned, if you want the best out of this synth, you'll have to activate a high precision mode in the MIDI settings, which turns the synth all MIDI and RPN only, and deactivate MIDI CC. Of course, because MIDI CC is not as precise as NRPN. Sorry, this is like, yes, it's true, but is it a flaw? Not really exactly. Someone gave thumb down, and I agree, like, it's perfectly fine like this. Anyway, it covers, as I said, probably too much of the same territory that my Rev 2 is able to cover. So let's go to the next one, and it's gonna be the last one today. Waldorf Quantum. Waldorf is mainly the company of digital synthesis. I would say, of course, I've got Pulse 2 here with me. I'm going to review it as well for you, which is an amazing analog synth. And Quantum Mk2 is all about digital oscillators and digital synthesis of any possible kind. If there's any sound you can imagine simply, you can probably achieve it using Quantum Mk2. As simple as that. The only thing is, there are two things that are stopping me from buying it and considering it. The first one is, and also I think Sound on Sound wrote about it, yes, when a sound passes through analog filters, because you can choose between analog and digital filters, I think you've got even 8 different analog filters here, but they are all mono. So even if your sound source, your digital oscillators are set in a nice stereo, when you pass them through analog filter, they become mono. Then you can stereoize them again after the filter somehow, but it's not the same and it's a pity. I wish it had just 4 analog filters, but fully stereo, like full stereo pairs than this, so not really maybe. Also, you can use SD cards on it, not regular USB flash drives, which might be an issue for some people. And it's not cheap, and again, this is my thing, because when you see the price of it, it's almost $6,000. And I would say it's at the absolute edge of what I can think of spending. I won't probably spend that much, in knowing that analog filters are mono. No, not really, but for all the rest, my friends, for what it's capable of, oh my God. I'm wondering whether they're gonna make it a VST one day, not too soon, because they don't want to kill the hardware. But having something like this in a VST form, well, probably that's gonna happen in my artistic CV, that I'm gonna tweak this one day in a VST form. As for the reviews, not too many, because it's a premium priced instrument, not many people acquiring it and reviewing it. There's just one 5-star review on Thomann in French. Super keyboard takes away my breath with its amazing, magnificent quality. That's it. Not too much, but hey, listen to some demos online. And as for the issues, Quantum Mk1 used to have a lot of software issues, actually. And as far as I understand, Quantum 2 has been smoothed out a bit in terms of stability, which is a good news, all the software firmware updates that were made to the synthesizer. But, as I said, monofilters, pricing point, probably not for me. Guys, that's it. That's the full list of the synths I'm considering to buy as my new flagship. And you know what? I'm somehow ready to sum the things up. Yeah, that's my list. And as I said, this is somehow subjective in the way that I made some specific criteria about choosing the synths. And yes, I totally tend to think most about Arturia Polybrute 12. Hey, owners of this synth, tell me your experience with it, or anybody else owning anything from the list presented. Tell me what's your experience with all what I presented, or any of you who are also wondering and making up their minds, what would you buy from the list presented? Tell me again down below in the comment section. And maybe there is something I missed on the list. Also, you have to let me know down below, and I'm gonna let you know what I decided still this year probably. I don't know if it's gonna be next month or in 3 months, but I have a feeling that's gonna happen this year. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it and liked it, and hope to hear from you very, very soon. Take care and bye.